start, or you want us to listen? Fine, here you are. I've been asked on a number of occasions lately if I'm going to endorse anyone in the runoff of the Democratic primary. The answer is no. To the extent that any of my supporters are waiting to hear from me before deciding how to vote, I hereby release them to vote as they deem appropriate. They are intelligent men and women who can judge the candidates as well as anyone, and I quite frankly think maybe better. I do thank them from the bottom of my heart for staying with me so long and so loyally, and I do encourage them, however, to stick with the Democratic Party. A primary defeat, no matter how painful, does not leave me with any bitterness toward the party that once carried me to the highest and most revered office in this state. A primary defeat does not diminish my firm conviction that the Democratic Party is the party that embodies the hopes and the philosophies of the majority of the voters of this state. So even though I am not endorsing a candidate, I am endorsing the Democratic Party. But I want to say this as forcefully and as clearly as I know how. I will never endorse Ann Richards. I will never support Ann Richards, and I will never vote for Ann Richards. Ann Richards willfully and knowingly smeared me with false accusations that she knew at the time to be untrue. She didn't do it just once in the heat of an argument. She did it with inexcusable regularity in the last days of a campaign. She planned those lies in a massive, orchestrated, cold-blooded, and calculated way designed to hit and run before the truth could be found out in the closing hours of the campaign. In the process, she raised serious questions throughout the state of Texas about my honesty and my integrity. Not only have I had to defend her attack, but my wife and children had to unnecessarily explain our innocence. She made the incredible charge that the dollars I earned are ill-gotten gains, that we took tax dollars to line our own pockets. She said the house that Linda Gale and I purchased was paid for at public expense. She made other implications as well, none of which were true. In order to turn public attention from her weakness, she intentionally smeared me with false advertising on television. She smeared me in speeches drafted for gatherings of her supporters. She smeared me with printed propaganda in black churches just before Election Day. It was an expensive, experienced, persistent, and coordinated effort to misinform. They knew what they were doing, and I think she knew it was wrong. But even though she earned the right to be in this runoff, she will always know in her heart that she stooped to an all-time low to get there. In response to her charges, I made my income tax returns and my personal finances an open book for anyone who wanted to inspect them. I instructed my accountant to answer any detailed questions that anyone might ask. And I called on Ann Richards either to prove her charges or to retract them. Yet she just kept smearing me. I gave her another chance in the past few days to apologize and to clear my name, and she replied, "That's just tough politics." Well, Ann, that's not tough politics. I know tough politics. And tough politics is being honest with yourself and with others, even when you know it will hurt. Tough politics is showing the political courage to do the right thing when the chips are down. Tough politics is making the tough decisions for the future of this state. I've been in some rough campaigns in my career, and I know how to dish it out, and I know how to take it. But there's a difference between negative advertising and unfounded, vicious personal attacks that are out-and-out lies. I have never attacked any one of my opponents personally, and I've never lied about any of them, including Ann Richards. I think she overstepped the bounds of decency by smearing my name in such a vicious way. So for the record, one more time, I am stating that I never profited from Reynolds, Allen, and Cook while I was in office. I had not been associated with that firm since 1978. The bond business they enjoyed was a result of basically two attorneys who came and left that firm while I was still in office, bringing and taking the bond business with them. Our house was purchased from Rice University at the full asking price. It was 100% financed by Rice at 12% interest, which is above the going rate at that time. We are like a lot of other people in this state. We bought more house than we could afford, and we struggle to make our payments, and we're counting on an improved economy to make a profit when we sell. So let me close by saying that I'm proud of everything that my administration stood for and everything we tried to achieve as governor. And let me tell you one thing, Ann Richards. I do not intend to let you or anyone else on a 30-second spot unfairly revise, rewrite, mangle, misconstrue, or misinterpret in any way my reputation simply because you find that the honest truth about my career stands inconveniently in the way of the sad advancement of yours. I'll be glad to respond to your questions.
Governor, given your feelings about Ann Richards, why not an endorsement for Maddox?
I think that, as I said before, that it's important that we not make that statement because of the statement I've made here today.
Are you going to vote in the runoff?
Certainly intend to.
Who will you vote for?
You have a very clever way of trying to elicit that information.
Governor, will you be voting in the governor's race in the runoff?
I've never failed to vote in the governor's race.
And so, since you're not going to vote for Ann Richards, we can only assume...
The first question's even more clever than the second.
There's only one name left on the ballot, is that correct?
You're getting closer and closer.
Are we going to have you to kick around anymore?
Well, I never viewed that as y'all were doing much kicking around on me, but I have enjoyed being up here and let you kind of take a bite at me every now and then.
Mr. White, did you have conversations with Ann Richards in the last few days about these?
No, I have not, and we have had overtures to see if she had any interest in any conversation, and it was never followed up on.
Did you ever seriously consider endorsing Clayton Williams?
I have not making any statement about anything other than this statement here today about this race.
Governor, do you not feel you bear some of the responsibility for the nastiness of this campaign?
No, I don't believe I do. If you look at the ads that were run, every one of those ads spoke about issues, about positions that people had taken in campaigns, public positions. There was no reference whatsoever to anyone's personal integrity. There's no reference whatsoever to anything except the positions they had taken while in public office. And I think those are fair positions, and I've never been one to ever, say anything about anybody who'd made fair statements about me. They made hard statements about me in every campaign I've ever run in. But I've always taken those with what I consider to be the appropriate response, is to talk about the issues. And I think in this case, Ann Richards stepped far beyond that standard. She made accusations of a criminal nature. She knows were untrue at the time. She knows they're untrue today.
At one time, you talked about the possibility of a lawsuit.
I never have talked about that.
Well, are you thinking about a lawsuit?
I think we got enough lawyers already, don't you? Enough lawsuits.
Does that mean no?
I don't have any thought of making any filing of a lawsuit.
How much damage have the Democrats done to themselves with not only the primary but the runoff, which is probably as nasty as the primary was?
Well, I hope that they'll be successful in November. It's important that they demean themselves in a way that would permit someone to win, and I hope they will. But I don't see them doing it now.
Think Maddox is a clean campaign?
Well, let me say this. I've always thought he was one of the toughest campaigners I've ever seen, but what Ann Richards done would make Himmler blush. No, I think that I'll be voting on the primary election runoff date. That's it.
If Ann Richards is the Democratic nominee in November, will you vote for her?
You read my statement one more time.
Would you vote for Clayton Williams?
You just read this statement one more time.
Governor, in the past, the Democrats have been able to get together after the runoff and make nice and move on down the road, but that isn't going to happen this time, apparently, if Ann Richards is the choice of the vote.
Well, I think the people of this state are entitled to a better campaign than she's run. And I think they're entitled to fair treatment from people in these campaigns, and I don't think she's done that. I think she's shown a very mean side that wasn't Ann Richards that I knew. I don't know what caused her to do it, but she did it. And I think that she's had every opportunity to change her ways. She hadn't done it. I'm personally revolted by her suggestion that we need an ethics bill and she'd be the one to draw it.
The follow-up to that, though, is if she is a nominee and you can't make nice with her, aren't the Democrats going to be wounded?
Let me say it this way, if she gets the nomination, it'll be without my help, and I think if she's able to be elected, she'll have it in the same fashion.
Governor, you said that in your statement that it sounded like you had made some recent effort at giving Ann another opportunity to apologize, and she had just said that was tough politics. When did that occur?
Well, that's the response apparently that she gave to several people. That was the response that she apparently has made on several occasions.
She hasn't made that actually to you.
She's called me the day following the primary and suggested there be some meeting held, but seemed that she was not very interested in following up on that either.
Have you met with Mr. Maddox since the
I
election?
have. I have.
Have you directed your, you're talking about voting endorsements here, have you directed your financial supporters to go one way or the other?
Those people showed the wisdom to support me, and I guess they have the wisdom to make the next decision.
Did your law practice or ability to earn an income suffer for first time?
Well, it surely wasn't enhanced by it, and quite frankly, I haven't been back in the private practice long enough to determine that yet, but I think that anytime someone publicly accuses you of committing a felony on television, it's not designed to enhance it. Those remarks were patently false. They were maliciously made, and she should have had better judgment.
Has there been a time in your adult life when you have not voted for a Democratic nominee together?
I've always voted for a Democratic nominee for every political office.
Has there ever been
I don't
a time
think-
when you didn't vote for a Democratic
No.
nominee together?
No. I hope we won't have occasion to have that happen either.
Governor, there were...
Just for history's sake, your death penalty ads were quite controversial at the time, and even now they're still being talked about. I was just wondering if you had any second thoughts, or how do you think?
No, I think some of the mischaracterization about the death penalty ads is probably brought about by the fact that many of those people have never had any experience in this area. But when you have been where I've been to see the faces of people who've been shot in the line of duty and look at them and their families who have been killed in the line of duty, I happen to believe in the death penalty. And I think that's all the justification you need for it.
Governor, earlier today, the Richards campaign made available copies of radio commercials that supposedly were made for you. They have your voice tag on the end. One of those ads raises questions about Ann Richards and her possible drug use. Says if a candidate for governor can't answer this question, why should we expect our children to? Did you ever run that ad? When did that ad run?
Yeah, I think we probably didn't run it early enough.
Well, I know at the time you were when she first went on the attack on you, you were saying that you weren't the one who was raising the drug question.
That's
So
exactly right.
So you did not run that ad until after?
I think that ad may have run on several occasions on Monday before the Tuesday election. I had refrained from running the ad because they had made suggestions that they were going to withdraw the scurrilous ad that they were running against me. They lied about that at the time. They lied about it not only to me, but to other people in their campaign as well. And quite frankly, that ad is a very truthful statement. There's no unfair suggestion or any suggestion of anything other than factual restatement of what's occurred. Ann Richards refused to answer a very simple yes or no question, questions that people in many walks of life have to answer on a daily basis before they can fly airplanes, before they can carry out law enforcement functions, and before you can lead the fight against drugs, we ought to have an answer to that question.
You say they lied, who's the, who's
Members of her campaign staff apparently made representations that they were going to withdraw that ad, and they never did. They frankly waited and to such a period of time that we didn't have a chance to respond to the ad.
Governor, in that ad,
So don't be fooled by anything she says.
in that ad, there's mention made that using certain drugs is a felony.
Yeah, it sure is. Let me just say it this way, she's the one that can answer it very quickly, yes or no.
But is it unfair?
And if it were unfair to suggest anything here, it's because she's failed to be forthcoming with an answer. We've seen people in politics and political life today all across America say that they had had some passing occasion to use marijuana without any political downside. Now, certainly that's been demonstrated. She doesn't have to be fearless about that. Just come on out and say it. And if it's something worse than that, I think the people of Texas have a right to know about that as well. It's a simple question, and it has a very short one-syllable answer.
Governor, is this as mad as you've ever been at an opponent? You tangled with Bill Clements. You've had a few political tussles in the past. Is this as mad as you've ever gotten with anyone?
No, I think I've probably been madder from time to time, but this one's pretty dog. They pretty well ripped their britches with me.
Well, let me just ask you this, are you madder at Ann Richards?
Oh, I think it's more the disappointment that comes from people that you have a high regard for. You know, this wouldn't have surprised me had it come from someone in another political camp. It wouldn't have surprised me had it come from another political party. It wouldn't have surprised me if it come from a lot of places. But of all people, for that type of tactic, it's got to be a major disappointment to her own supporters. It's got to be an embarrassment to them. It's got to be an embarrassment to friends. It's got to be embarrassing to people that she would walk up to and say, will you help me? Yeah, sure. You know, I was the one who publicly defended her on several occasions against suggestions that she was a racist and that she had made racial statements. It seems the evidence was a little more clear. Maybe I shouldn't have been so easily persuaded. I'm unclear as to where she really is on many issues today after a strong stand she's taken proven to be false.
Governor, you called on Ms. Richards to come clean on the drug question once and for all. Do you think that Maddox should do the same on the questions about his income tax?
Well, I think it's important that there be full disclosure. I've done that. Doesn't make much difference now, but we did it. Quite frankly, the guy came by and asked for a loan the other day, and I felt bad about it. No, you know, that's not the reason I'm here today.
Governor, should there be a debate between the two main candidates?
I think there should be a debate, certainly. This silliness of saying they had a rally plan, I really do think there should be a debate. I think that's unfortunate that they would not have an occasion over the next week to find some time to have a 30-minute debate, an hour debate, and maybe for a change talk about some issues, about what we do in this next room and that room, about education. What are we going to do about how we're going to pay for it? Those are the issues that I would be concerned about, and I would like to think our Democratic candidates would.
Are you at all worried that this press conference is just going to come across making you sound like a bitter candidate, especially?
Do I look like a bitter candidate?
Well, I mean, especially since you're not coming here to go ahead and endorse Maddox.
Well, I have one purpose in mind, and I think I've accomplished that. I've set the record straight, and that was what I came to do. Anybody that makes public allegations about you having committed a felony is a very serious allegation. And I think it's important that the people of Texas not leave with any misunderstanding about what we've done and what we're doing. My purpose here today is to clear my name. It was not to make endorsements.
But realistically, how much good or bad can an anti-endorsement do?
Well, I just think it's fair that the people of Texas have an understanding of who said what and how baseless it was. And I think that will be a factor probably in an election. I hope it will be. I think it should be. That's something that shouldn't happen. That's something that is beneath the dignity of a candidate for public office, particularly for the high office of governor. Thank you all very much.